The 30th overall pick has gone cornerback the last 3 NFL drafts. I'm going to tell you why if the Buffalo Bills make it 4, it would be a mistake. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Believers Talk. My name is Joe and welcome to this draft edition of Believers Talk as we get you ready for the 2021 NFL Draft. Again, thank you guys for joining me. My name is Joe. If you're new to this channel, guys, please be sure to hit that subscribe button for continual Buffalo Bills and Buffalo sports content. Also hit that like button and leave a comment. What are your ideas come draft day or draft days for our Buffalo Bills? Listen, if the thumbnail doesn't give it away, I think the Buffalo Bills need to focus on the trenches. In the beginning, I talked about cornerback being number 30th pick overall last 3 seasons, or 3 drafts, I should say. It's gone cornerback, cornerback, cornerback. I don't think the Buffalo Bills should do that. In fact, it's been a long time. I think 2012, the last time an offensive tackle or offensive guard were taken with the 30th overall pick. And if I were Brandon Beane, if I were the Buffalo Bills, that is where I would look. Now, if you've watched Hashtag Sports, if you watched Mario and Paul, they say that if we go trenches, in the trenches, offensive line particularly, we need to trade up, right? And maybe that's the case. And I'm not going to lie. I don't care what it takes to get some good offensive and defensive line talent. That's why I think Brandon Beane and the Buffalo Bills need to look. Listen, last year we had the highest paid defensive line in the NFL. And to not be able to get consistent pressure on the quarterback, to me, was just insulting. You should be able, if you have the highest paid defensive line in the sport, you should be able to get consistent pressure on the quarterback. We saw the pressure that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were able to get on Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Now, some people might say because of their injured offensive line, and that's very possible, but we need a defensive line that can put that type of pressure on Patrick Mahomes, even when he has a fully healthy offensive line. And I think one thing when it comes to offensive lines that coaches and GM, listen, and I said this on Twitter, it really bugs me. When you talk to a football fan one-on-one, or you say a line like the game is won in the trenches, they all agree. Everyone agrees with you, right? Everyone's like, yeah, it is. The offensive, defensive line, they control the game. But come draft time, especially this year for the Buffalo Bills, you're like, ooh, who's the star tight end who's coming out? We need help at the tight end position. Oh, could we use a running back? Mel Kiper Jr. had us taking a running back in his first mock draft at the 30th overall pick. I think it was Harris out of Alabama. He had us taking a running back with his first pick. Why? Why do we do this? Star wide receiver. The Seattle Seahawks need offensive line help. What do? They get DK Metcalf. Now, DK Metcalf's great. He's amazing. I think he's wonderful. How many championships have the Seahawks won in the past 4 seasons? You have a guy like Russell Wilson who's upset because he's gotten sacked 400 times in his career. And yet you're going out there and you're drafting wide receivers. You're drafting, who was it, Penny, a running back who was projected to go in the 3rd round, going in the 1st round because you wanted a running back. You look at the Oakland Raiders when their previous owner was arrived, Rod Davis, right? You look at the Raiders, oh, let's go wide receiver until we get one right. Who was the best one? Hayward Bay. You look at the Lions a few years back before they got Calvin Johnson. They went wide receiver 3 years in a row. It doesn't just happen. John Ross, he ran a big time 40, and the Cincinnati Bengals draft him in the 1st round. You look at these running quarterbacks, Russell Wilson. You look at, and this goes back, we'll go Cam Newton. You talk about Lamar Jackson, all of these guys. Your GMs and your coaches think they can get away with possibly not having the best offensive line out there. And that's just not the case. I don't care how good of a running quarterback you have, Josh Allen, you need a good offensive line who's going to protect you, because throwing the football at the quarterback position is what wins you football games. It doesn't have to be, you don't even have to look at them if you're Patrick Mahomes, but throwing the football is what wins football game. So for me, when it comes to this draft, right, when it comes to the first round, second round, third round, we do not have a fourth round pick. You need to look at offensive and defensive line. Now, if you look at our offensive line last season, yeah, they did fine, right? They were great in pass blocking, or at least good in pass blocking, but the run blocking was a problem. And listen, if the run blocking is a problem, how can you also blame the running backs for not finding holes if they're not there, for finding their lanes? And both of our running backs averaged over 4 yards a carry. You want proof of what a good offensive line can do? Look at Zeke Elliott there in Dallas. When Zeke Elliott had a monstrous offensive line, he was averaging 6-7 yards a carry. Now the offensive line is getting beat up. They're not able to afford everyone that they once were able to. And you've seen what has happened. Zeke Elliott's coming off his worst season as a pro in the NFL. So I know a lot of people want to fall in love with the best tight end out there, or one of the good running backs that's in this draft. Like if Harris is available, we need to get him. No, we need to focus on the guys in the trenches. And Mario and Paul, like I said, they want us to trade up. If we can't trade up, then trade back and get a boatload of them, right? We don't have a fourth round pick, so get a couple fourth round guys. Get a couple second round guys, third round guys, whatever it takes. Get a couple of them. We might lose some of these offensive line guys because of free agency, right? We might. So that's a possibility. So when it comes to free agency, that's where I want us to look at another tight end, right? We talk about Cook being available. There's a big name tight end out there. Let's go get him, right? Now that we didn't get J.J. Watt, we have money to play around with a little bit, and people are excited about that. And listen, I did a video on J.J. Watt yesterday when the news came down, and I'm happy we didn't get him. For that price, I'm happy we didn't get him. But what we need to focus on is the trenches. And I don't necessarily mean spending a whole boatload of money on Jadeveon Clowney. I don't even want to see a linebacker be drafted. I know everyone wants to replace Matt Milano. I think we could do that in free agency. I want to see the Buffalo Bills work on the trenches. Let's work on getting pressure on the quarterback. Guys, the fact that we played Phillip Rivers, a statue, in the first round of the playoffs, and we're unable to get any pressure on him is insulting. And that's just not the type of football that you want to play. And even if we got some hits on it, Matt Milano had a couple hits on him, we didn't sack him a single time. Then we play Lamar Jackson. All of a sudden, Trent Murphy, who we're going to lose because of free agency, was able to get some pressure on him. So we need to get younger on the defensive line and offensive line. Mitch Morrison's getting any younger. He has those concussion issues. We talk about possibly losing Williams this year as well. You talk about, Johnson. You talk about Deion Dawkins. Listen, he's getting to a point in his career where you wonder how long he's going to hold up. So there's a lot of guys like that. Ty Nseki's older, even though he has less miles as far as football age goes, but he's getting older as well. We might lose him because of free agency. There's a lot of guys on that offensive line who are just getting older, and that's just a part of it. So we need to get younger on that offensive line, and we want to be sure to do that when we have some of these veteran guys in there who can teach these young guys along the way. You know, we have Cody Ford. Hopefully he'll come back from injury. Hopefully he'll play better, whether it's at guard or at tackle. And then we have the defensive line, right? You're looking at Jerry Hughes. You're looking at Star Lotulelei is coming back. We have a young Ed Oliver, and then we have AJ Epineza. Who's going to really step up there, right? We need to know who's going to step up there, and then who's going to be rotating in. Is it going to be Harrison Phillips? Who's going to be our next defensive end? I think we at least have to get one defensive end in this draft. Even if we would have gotten J.J. Watt, we need to get younger at those positions. And we'll see how it goes. We will see how it goes. Obviously, free agency is coming up as well. It's about 2 weeks away. So that will dictate a lot of what we do in the draft. So I'm looking forward to that. And make sure you guys hit that subscribe button as I keep you up to date on every single free agent signing the Buffalo Bills have, and then what that could potentially mean come NFL draft time. So that's it, guys. I think that the Buffalo Bills, Brandon Beane, and this front office need to focus on the trenches. And if that means every single draft pick is either offensive or defensive line, listen, I'm okay with that. Do you know how you make sure you have a good player, a good replacement for some of these veteran players? You load up on them. Load up on them for cheap. And then if one of them stick, you got yourself the guy who can hopefully lead this team into the future. Get an offensive tackle, get an offensive guard, both good at pass blocking and run blocking. That's a hard combination, it seems like this day in the NFL. You're either good at one, or the other. You're rarely good at both. So we need to find some guys who can do both. And if that includes trading up, as Paul says with #sports, and that's what that means. And that's fine by me. I'm okay with that. We've seen Brandon Beane trade up in the past to get what he wants. And if he sees someone available who he wants, I'm sure he'll be able to pull that trigger once again. I'm not a fan of using next year's draft capital to do that, but if that's what it takes, then hey, we'll do what we have to do. So again, let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think the Buffalo Bills should focus on the trenches, or is there someone else you have your eye on? Let me know in the comment section. I will continue my draft coverage and also keep you guys up to date at any free agency news. I look forward to talking to you all soon. Until I do, go Bills.